you're a business grad looking to join the consumer goods industry, then the most popular and sought after role you'll probably come across is brand manager. When I was applying to join the consumer goods industry, this was the role that I kept coming across on all of these companies' websites, but I wasn't really sure what a brand manager actually does, how to prepare for the interview, and how to decide if this was a role I even wanted. If I ever asked someone what a brand manager actually does, they would just tell me that every day is different, which isn't really helpful when you're trying to decide whether you want the job or not. So today's video is going to be what I wish I had when I was applying to join the industry, and hopefully you will also find this helpful. I will first take you over what a brand manager does on paper, as in the job description, and then I'll take you over a typical day in the life of what I would do on an average day and show you some of the tasks that I would work on. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Rabia and I worked as a brand manager at Procter & Gamble and only recently quit my job earlier this year. You can see my previous video to know why I quit, but for now, let's get into the video. A brand manager is essentially the guardian of a brand within a company. This usually tends to be within a certain geographical location or for a certain cluster of products. So for example, you wouldn't be the brand manager for the Coca-Cola company, but you could be a brand manager for their brand Fanta within China. The main job of a brand manager is to understand who is the consumer of their brand and then build the best possible products to delight that consumer. Practically, this means that a brand manager manages all of the business and marketing strategies of a brand, making sure that they are delighting their consumer while also staying profitable. So basically, they own the brand's profit and loss. So on the loss side, they oversee where the brand is spending money. For example, on packaging, R&D, supply, advertising. And on the profit side, they monitor how the brand is going to make that money back. So this could be, for example, by creating products that are really good and superior that consumers want to buy. It could be by having really good advertising and creating desire for those products. It could be through pricing the products correctly so that you are still profitable and you're not making a loss. And it could also be by creating growth strategies so that you can get your products to as many consumers as possible. Is the brand manager role right for you? Well, the answer is yes, if you're looking for a role that gives you an equal split between the technical business analysis and also the creative marketing side of things. However, if you're looking for a role that is only based around numbers and strategy, then you might want to look into sales manager. On the other side, if you're looking for a role that doesn't really deal much with the business side of things and is much more creative, then you might be interested in looking at marketing manager. Brand manager role is an equal split between the two, which is often why you will find a brand manager often being taken to the path of senior leadership. So you'll see them getting promoted to director, VP, category CEO, and eventually CEO. There are roughly two different types of brand manager roles that you'll find in most companies, which are going to be based on which geographical location you're going to be based on. So for example, if you're going to be based in Dubai or London, Sydney, New York, your role is probably going to be a lot more strategic. And if you're going to be based in a smaller city, then your role is probably going to be a lot more tactical. If you're based in one of the big cities, then your role is going to be a lot more strategic. Now in P&G, we call this a design brand manager, but of course the title is going to vary company to company. This kind of brand manager mainly focuses on the bigger long-term design of the brand. So for example, how do they see the brand evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? And also, what are the different goals that they would like this brand to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years? So this could be like goals in terms of profit, or goals of how many cities they want the brand to be sold in, or how sustainably they want the products of this brand to be made in the next 5 years. The second type of brand manager is what we call in P&G a delivery brand manager. Now, this manager takes the bigger strategic vision for the brand and is responsible for executing or delivering it across the countries that they manage. This is usually a much more hands-on role, and this manager is expected to become an expert of their market. So knowing everything like how does the consumer in that market shop, to what does the distribution network look like, to what is the political landscape, what are the culture nuances that work with certain advertising, and everything of the like. I do want to add that there will always be overlaps and exceptions between these two roles, depending on which city you're based in and what company you work for. For example, I started with design in P&G, but was later assigned a special end-to-end role, which basically meant that I managed the strategic design of my brand and then also executed the delivery across my markets. For this day in the life, I'll take you over a typical day from this end-to-end role so you can get a broad idea of the full range of tasks that I would work on. I would usually wake up around 6 a.m. and immediately hit the gym and work out from 6 to 7 a.m. so that my workout for the day is already out of the way first thing in the morning. Then 7 to 8, I would shower, get ready for the day, make my breakfast, and then either drive to work or bring my breakfast to my work table if I was working from home. Then at 8 a.m. I would log into my work laptop and also be having my breakfast and coffee on the side. And the first thing I would usually do is make a list of 3 to 5 most important things that I needed to get done for that day. This is also the time that I would typically check for any urgent emails that I need to get back to, or I would also maybe finish doing some work that I had from maybe the evening before, like filling in an agency briefing document or maybe working on a launch plan. On average, I started most days at 8 a.m. and would usually work until around 7 to 8 p.m. So I roughly worked 8 to 12-hour days, but it really depended on what season it was and how much work we had and what the deadlines were in that particular week. So 9 a.m. the official workday begins. I would usually have a one-on-one with my manager at this time. This happened once or twice a week, and this is the time that you completely lead with your manager, who is most likely going to be the brand director, and this is time that you lead with them and you can take them over all the progress that you're making on the different projects. You can also take them over any challenges that maybe you're facing with any of your deliverables, and you can also ask them for help to remove any barriers, because it's their job to make your job easier. By the way, pro tip on this, try to send out an email as a courtesy to your manager a day before with the agenda for this meeting. This is going to help your manager know exactly what to expect coming into the meeting, and they'll also probably come already with next steps of what you guys want to discuss. And it's also a great checklist that you can use during the meeting to make sure that you don't miss out on any important points, and you make sure that you align on everything that's important. Then 10 to 11 a.m. you might have a meeting with the global HQ team, and they might want to take you over a super secret product that they've been working on that they want you guys to know about. This is just a made-up example, but let's say that you are a brand manager at P&G for Gillette, and in this head office meeting they tell you that R&D has been developing new kinds of blades for the razors, which are 5 times more gentle on the skin. Let's call this new product Razor Gentle Skin Pro. Yes, an ironically unoriginal name coming from an XBM, but let's say that they tell you about this new razor that they're working on. So usually they will deploy the entire deck to you about this razor, and they would ask you to create a report for them talking about how you think this razor would perform in your markets. As the brand manager of Gillette, it's going to be your responsibility to get all of the different cross-functional teams together to work on this report for Razor Gentle Skin Pro. And your brand director might also join the meeting, but it's absolutely going to be your ownership, and it's your job to make sure that this report is created. Then 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. you might decide that you already want to get all of the cross-functional team together to get their initial thoughts on what you guys just saw from the head office. So in this meeting, you're going to have, first of all, your consumer insights team. These guys are basically the experts on all things consumer. They have all the knowledge and information and reports about what consumers in your region are looking for and how they behave. So maybe they'll already be able to tell you how they think this razor is going to be received in the market. Or maybe they'll tell you that, listen, we don't have enough information about this right now, but we can carry out a consumer study to learn more about this. Another team in this meeting is the MSNP, or the Market Sales and Planning team. These guys are basically the experts on the channels through which you should sell your product. So maybe in this case, they'll tell you, this razor sounds like a very specialized and premium product. It's supposed to be targeting only very special kind of sensitive skin. So actually, we shouldn't really launch it through everyday grocery stores. And instead, we should focus on pharmacies and maybe online retailers and maybe only big department stores. Finally, you also have the finance team in this meeting. I think this is probably the most obvious. These guys are basically going to help you build your entire business plan. So they're going to help you with your revenue projections, profit projections, help you analyze any risks that you could face when it comes to things that could hurt the sales of this new razor. They'll actually help you dive quite deep into the numbers, and this is actually an exercise that you're going to do with them later on. But basically, they help you make the financial models, which can then show you how much money you're expecting to make by city and even by retailer. So the regional team meeting is basically all of these experts coming together to share their first thoughts on this new product, and you guys will basically discuss the next steps on the work to be done. Then 1 to 2 p.m. is usually lunchtime. Now, maybe 2 times a week, if you're working from the office, all of the team is going to have lunch together. But maybe 3 times a week, everyone's going to decide that they're very busy and there's a lot of work that they need to catch up on. So everyone will get lunch from the office cafeteria and have it at their desk while they catch up on the work. So in the first half of the day, before lunch, I had all of my main design meetings. Now, after lunch, from 2 p.m. onwards, I might now have my main delivery meetings. So from 2 to 3 p.m., I might have my first big delivery meeting, which would be with my distributor. A small side note here for those that might not know, in most of these big consumer goods companies, the company only focuses on developing and producing the product, and then they sell this product to the distributor. The distributor then sells it to different retailers like Amazon or Tesco or Walmart, and then those retailers sell it to the consumer. So it goes from the company to the distributor to the retailer and then finally to the consumer. So in my meeting with the distributors, we would basically catch up on whether the monthly distribution targets are on track, if they're facing any challenges with any retailers or products, and just generally making sure that everything in the supply chain is working. Then 3 to 4 p.m. I would have a meeting with my PR and media agency. With the media agency, we would look at the media content calendar and see the campaigns that have already finished and see what worked, what didn't, and see if there are any other learnings that we can take from them for future campaigns. And then we would also look at what are the campaigns that are coming up, if there are any images or videos that the agency is going to need from our side, which they're going to use in these campaigns, and generally just make sure that everything is going on track with the media campaigns. Similarly, with the PR agency, we would look at all the plans and make sure that everything is going on track. Also, sometimes we'd see maybe there are influencers that we want to work with, or maybe there are events that we want to sponsor, or maybe companies that we want to collaborate with. So we would look at all of that and make sure everything is on track. With both the agencies, we would also look at the budgets and see if there was any underspend that was done in any of the previous campaigns, so we can take that money and reallocate it to future campaigns. Then finally, from 4 to 5 p.m., I would have my most important, most stressful, and probably most rewarding meeting of all: budgets. If there is one thing that is the most important part of being a brand manager, it is probably the budgets. So managing the budgets, making sure that you know where all of the money for the year is going to be spent, and making sure that you are not overspending. This meeting is usually with the finance team, but you could also just block the time in your calendar and even do this exercise yourself, where you look at your Excel files, which are your budget files, and basically go through them in meticulous detail and make sure that you understand where every single dollar is coming in and where every single dollar is being spent. You also use this time to update your budget files. For example, you now know that there's a new product coming out called Gentle Skin Pro, so you can start planning for this in your budgets. You can also start thinking about any media events and PR that you would do around this, and you can also then budget that in. Now, let's say you're having a really good day, so your meetings for the day have finally ended and you can now actually get to the real work. So from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. is the time that you can use to then catch up on your real work. So you're probably going to have a backlog of a lot of emails that you weren't able to check throughout the day, so you would reply to those. And you can also get started on any brainstorming that you need to do for the new launch, or get started on the reports that were requested. You might also be working on presentations for your distributors to show them the top secret and exciting new products that are coming into the market soon. And yeah, that's a day in the life for you. Of course, not all of these meetings are going to happen every day. Some days you're probably going to focus on the products that are already in the market, and maybe other days you're going to focus more on the launch plans and products that are going to be launched soon. It really depends on where you're based and what your scope looks like. There are also a lot of reports and presentations we make for our VPs and senior directors to show them our plans and get their alignment. But these happen less frequently, so every day really is different. To summarize in a nutshell, your day-to-day work is basically being a business owner and bringing all the different experts together to help you deliver goals for your business. If I were to summarize a day in the life, I would say that it is probably 70% meetings and 30% working on brand plans, budget files, and reports. I hope this video was useful and gave you a glimpse into a day in the life of a brand manager. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video.